Hello and welcome to On the Sidelines College Football Edition. I am WMAR2 sports reporter Sean Stepner. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Over the next 30 minutes, we will take a look at our local college football programs, all of our preseason previews and conversations with coaches and players prior to their respective season openers. We'll go one-on-one with New Maryland Terrapins head coach Mike Locksley. We'll talk to ESPN college football analyst David Pollock. That and much, much more is ahead. But we begin with the Terps, a new coach, a new quarterback, a new era in College Park. Mike Locksley, beginning his first season as head coach, comes over from Alabama, where he was the offensive coordinator. He enters the season with graduate transfer Josh Jackson as his quarterback. Jackson, 6'2", 218 pounds, comes over from Virginia Tech. He beat out Tyrell Pigram for the starting job. I caught up with Jackson earlier this week before the season opener. Josh, starting quarterback for the Maryland Terrapins, you win the job. What does it feel like as you enter this season, and what can fans expect from you this year?
It's awesome. Definitely, a blessing to be named a starter. And you can just expect me to work as hard as I can and try to be the best quarterback I can for this team.
What do you think about this Terps offense? With you at the helm, what do you think you guys can do this year?
I think we'll be able to do a lot, and that's not just because of me. I think because of the talent that they have around me. We have 5 great running backs. They all can play. We have some great young receivers. We have some good tight ends, and we have a line that's going to be able to keep me upright. So I'm looking forward to it.
And one of the great young receivers the Terps were counting on won't be taking the field this year. Jayshon Jones tearing an ACL just a few days into fall camp. As for Locksley, this is his 3rd stint with the Terps, first as head coach, a Washington, D.C. native. He has called this his dream job since being hired back in December. He takes over a program just a year removed from the controversy that followed the tragic death of offensive lineman Jordan McNair, the Randallstown native passing away due to complications from heat stroke suffered during a team workout. Interim coach Matt Canada guided Maryland to a 5-7 record in 2018. Earlier this week, I got a chance to go one-on-one with Locksley and began by asking him how he feels as the season gets going.
Well, it's a reality now. Obviously taking this job is, as I've said many times, the job that I've always coveted. But it's a reality now. We're into the season.
You named Josh Jackson your starting quarterback. Why?
Well, it starts, number one, that as we evaluate our quarterbacks, the number one thing we were looking for is who put us in the best possible position to score points, because ultimately that's the quarterback's job. And so Josh did the best job of giving us scoring opportunities in live situations, scrimmage situations. And then he also, to be the starting quarterback, you got to be a guy that wins on 3rd down. And Josh managed our 3rd down situations the best.
On the surface, Terps fans look at a graduate transfer coming over from Virginia Tech, that storied program. How excited do they have a right to be that Josh Jackson is going to provide something at the quarterback position that this program has not seen in such a long time?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think 2014 when C.J. Brown was able to get through the full season and put up some really good numbers in this system, since we've had the ability to be stabilized at the quarterback position. I think with Josh and the fact that he has a toolbox of experience, though at Virginia Tech, now in our system here at Maryland, I think our fans have a reason to be excited. He's a guy that has shown the ability to make the plays that you need to see made and the consistency at the quarterback position.
What can you say about the defensive side this year?
Well, I think the big thing is that, we've got some experience out on the corners. Tino Ellis has played a lot of football around here. Having Marcus Lewis, who's a transfer that came in and played quite a bit at Florida State, and then having a guy like Antoine Brooks in the middle of the field, big-time playmaker, ball hawk guy. John Hoke's done a really good job of implementing the philosophy that I want to have on defense. We want to be an attacking, aggressive defense. We don't want to be a bend, don't break, and all that stuff.
Following the season opener against Howard, you have Syracuse coming to town, and you have Penn State on a Friday night right here on this field where we're sitting. What do you hope to see from your team in this first month of the season, and what do you expect this stadium to be like against those 2 storied programs?
We really, again, staying in the moment. Syracuse is next game up for us, per se. Our focus and energy will be on Syracuse. They're a top 25 program. And then obviously to finish up the month of September with the game against Penn State here at home. It's my hope that our fans will come support this team. They've worked really hard. They want to do well. We've laid a foundation to where I feel real comfortable and confident that we'll put a product on the field where we'll play with great discipline, great effort, great cohesion. And again, if you don't beat yourself first, you give yourself a chance to win games.
Finally, regarding where this program stands, just opposed to a year ago, with everything that's happened, how much is Jordan McNair's presence felt, and how much are you carrying his memory and his legacy into this 2019 season?
You know, I think the big thing, and we've said this as a program, you know, Jordan is always a fabric of who we are as a program. But what our players have really embraced most about Jordan is we want to honor him with how we practice every day, how we prepare for each game every week, and then how we go play on Saturdays. And to me, that's the most important thing we can do to honor Jordan and to carry out his legacy. And our team has really embraced that and has really moved forward the right way with keeping that in mind.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the Terps schedule this year. Season opener going down yesterday. Syracuse comes to College Park next weekend. Maryland Stadium will be rocking on Friday night, September 27th, when the Terps and Penn State kick off in prime time. Michigan comes to town on November 2nd. The following week, it's a road trip to Columbus to play Ohio State. The regular season finale goes down on November 30th as Maryland travels to Michigan State. For more Terps talk, check out the latest episode of our On the Sidelines podcast, my lengthy conversation with Johnny Holliday, the voice of the Maryland Terrapins for the last 40 years. His life in the broadcasting business, tons of Terp stories from over the years. Plus, he tells me how much longer he thinks he'll be behind the mic. You can find the On the Sidelines podcast on SoundCloud and at WMAR2news.com. Let's turn our attention to the Naval Academy, where the midshipmen are trying to turn things around following a down year in Annapolis. It was the worst year for Navy since Ken Niumatalolo took over as full-time head coach in 2008. The Mids going 3-10 in 2018. They snapped a streak of 6 straight years of bowl game appearances and lost to Army for a 3rd straight season. Even with all of that, Niumatalolo is bullish on the upcoming year as quarterback Malcolm Perry is back under center full-time and a new defensive coordinator enters the picture. I caught up with Coach Ken at the Academy before the season began. So, coming off a 3-10 season, I've heard you say that you think this could be one of the best teams in Navy football history coming up in 2019. Why such high expectations?
Just everything I've seen. Just all the stuff that I've seen as far as our work from January. I've seen our team bond. I don't know many things, but I know a good football team when it's coming together. Really, really excited. A lot of things point towards hopefully a good year. When
you look back at last year's record and last year's season as a whole, how do you flip it this year and have a rebound season?
When you have a season like that as soon as the season's over, you're already, what do we have to do to get better? I think the one thing that I did a bad job, I know I did a bad job, is just bringing our team together. We've always had good kids here. And last year's kids weren't bad kids. But we just had a few guys just kind of want to do their own deal. And in football, that's hard. You know what I mean? If you got guys that aren't bought in and you kind of like, you know, why are we doing that? And you kind of spread out a little bit, you don't have a chance, especially for us, because we're never as talented as people. We always have to be one in one heartbeat. And if you get guys splintering off it all, you become really, really weak. And I saw that last year.
One of the biggest changes on the field, maybe the biggest change, is Malcolm Perry, full-time quarterback, right? What do you expect from Malcolm, and how much better is he now as opposed to last year and the year previous?
Well, I think last year, he was pretty good on that. I mean, he rushed for, he's a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. You know what I mean? I think people quickly forget that, and he did a lot of good things. We got to play to his strengths, though. I thought we did a bad job, especially myself last year, of, doing things that fit Malcolm, play to his strengths. He's the most dynamic runner that we've ever, since I've been here, that we've ever had. So I think just him also knowing that he is our quarterback. You know, last year he was kind of a slash, slot. You can't do that at quarterback.
Finally, on the defensive side of the ball, Brian Newberry, new defensive coordinator. What does he bring, and what do you expect from that side of the ball this year?
He brings the it factor. You know, I've just been watching him, and I've been doing this a long time, but there's something about this guy. He's got great leadership skills. He's a creative mind, a really good teacher, a really good football coach. The kids have already bought into his stuff. Very creative. I like what we're doing. You know, it's organized chaos.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the midshipman schedule. The matchup with Air Force comes on October 15th in Annapolis. They travel to Notre Dame on November 16th. The trip to Houston is 2 weeks later to face new head coach Dana Holgorsen and the Cougars. And here's the big one. The 120th edition of Army-Navy happens on Saturday, December 14th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Now, at the FCS level, our area boasts what should be one of the most entertaining teams in the country. We are talking about Towson, and the Tigers' most important player has a name Baltimore football fans are quite familiar with. Joe Flacco may be gone, but there's still a Flacco slinging footballs in Baltimore.
It's a little bit disappointing because I don't get to see my nephews and Joe and my sister-in-law as much, but I'm definitely excited for him to be in Denver. It's pretty cool that he's out there. I know he loves it.
Former longtime Ravens quarterback Joe, now with the Broncos.
Monday, say go!
His younger brother Tom, the QB at Towson.
Seeing him in those colors, it was weird the first couple times. I'm excited for Joe. Like I said, it's something that he needed a new place. I think he found it, and he likes the people out there.
Towson's excited to have Tom for another year. The redshirt senior is entering his second season with the Tigers. He burst onto the scene last year, starting all 12 games, leading Towson to a 7-5 record and a berth in the FCS playoffs. He was named the 2018 Colonial Athletic Association Offensive Player of the Year and has earned the preseason version of the same award for 2019.
He's an incredible athlete. He's a great passer. He's a great teammate, and he's got great escapability. It makes him really, really dangerous.
As a team, we have a lot more confidence in what we can do. This year, we know that what we're capable of.
Flacco's offense will be the driving force behind the success of the Tigers this season.
Check with me, Daniel, always.
And there will be a change on game day when it comes to that side of the ball. Head coach Rob Ambrose takes over the play calling from his brother Jared, who left to become the offensive coordinator at Delaware.
I think anything less than what we did last year is going to be a disappointment for us. And, we're a good offense. We're a veteran offense. We're pretty explosive.
Yes, very good.
This will be the first time Ambrose is calling plays in 6 years. His Tigers are nationally ranked in the preseason for the first time in 5 years, number 11 in the country.
Good, good.
All right, taking a look at some of the big games for Towson this year. The home opener is this coming Saturday, 6 p.m. against North Carolina Central. The Tigers head south for a matchup with the Florida Gators on the 28th. They get the preseason CAA favorite James Madison in Harrisonburg on October 26th. Then it's a trip to Delaware to face former offensive coordinator Jared Ambrose and the Blue Hens on November 2nd. Time for our first break, but don't go anywhere. Coming up, we check in with Morgan State and new head coach Tyrone Wheatley, plus an emotional season is about to kick off for Johns Hopkins. We will tell you why. And up next, we chat with ESPN college football analyst David Pollock, get his thoughts on the Maryland Terrapins. Stay right there. You're watching On the Sidelines, College Football Edition.